Dogs don't look up when you take them outside, day or night. At least not up. We're not talking about squirrels in trees here. We're talking about the fact that the moon is often visible in daylight, or that the star Antares really is red, even to the naked eye. Dogs don't see much color anyway. So what good is a dog to the sky watcher? Time. Astronomers are timekeepers. It's their secret sauce. If you point your telescope in a particular direction, you must know the time with obsessive metaphysical accuracy to find the object you're looking for. It's no accident that the Naval Observatory is America's timekeeper. And this is where dogs come in. Our pound puppy, Gemma, a high-energy cattle dog mix, grudgingly acknowledges my role as pack leader, but only in exchange for taking on certain responsibilities, noblesse oblige and all that. Chief among these is the night walk. Every night between 10 and midnight we go for a walk. Single-digit temperatures, snowfall, howling winds, doesn't matter. If I'm late organizing the night walk, Gemma will sit in front of the television and bark emphatically, or simply clamp down on my sleeve and start pulling. You'll note that 10 to midnight isn't terribly precise timekeeping by astronomical standards. I doubt that the Naval Observatory will replace its atomic clocks with dogs anytime soon. But for the casual observer, this enforces a marvelous discipline, a visceral connection to the monthly and seasonal changes in the night sky. For part of each month, the stars are washed out by the blazing moon, almost blinding at these high elevations. I've never been able to see the face, or the rabbit, or the witch, or the toad people trace out from the moon's geography. As a geologist and science nerd to the core, I see bizarre mountain ranges, almost white with their high reflectivity, and dark plains that once glowed blood red as oceans of fluid lava filled titanic impact craters. Most of all, I think about the footprints that Neil and Buzz left imprinted in the dust 50 years ago. The dark nights present a cavalcade of gods and monsters, stars so bright they have their own names, and wandering planets. In the late spring, we can see the teapot in the constellation Sagittarius low in the sky at the end of the street. The spout marks the approximate position of the gigantic black hole astronomers have pinpointed in the center of the Milky Way. We're not just looking for something unseen, but something that can never be seen, so the logic of physics tells us. In the winter, on a clear night, Orion is framed by ponderosas at the end of the driveway. I can actually see the Great Hunter stalking the skies, unlike many other constellations that just leave me baffled. The bright orange star on his left shoulder as you look at him is Betelgeuse. This red giant would fill our solar system out to the orbit of Mars. It pulsates erratically, occasionally surpassing Rigel, the blue star in Orion's heel, in brightness. Astronomers tell us this stellar instability will eventually lead to a titanic explosion. In fact, Betelgeuse may have already exploded. It takes light from the star over 400 years to reach the Earth. Betelgeuse may have exploded 100 years ago, and we will never live to see it. Later to rise is Sirius, the brightest star in the night. How appropriate, I explained to Gemma, that the brightest star in the sky is the dog star. And yes, I talk to my dog on a regular basis. Experts tell us it's only a problem when the dog starts talking back. Loyally, Sirius trails the Great Hunter, alert for depredations by the giant scorpion or ferocious bull that lurk nearby, at his master's heel for the rest of time. Except that's not true. The stars appear fixed in position to us ordinary folk, but an astronomer will tell you they are not. The stars, especially the bright ones we can easily see, are on the move through space and relative to the stars around them. Astronomers call this proper motion. This implies, of course, that somewhere there must be improper motion. Perhaps that applies to astronomers at social gatherings. What this means is that the constellations, imaginary patterns formed in our minds from the relative positions of stars, are not fixed, but mutate over time. If you could travel back in time 220 million years to visit Arizona's petrified forest long before it was petrified, you'd think you were on an alien planet. The forest might be vaguely familiar with odd-looking conifers, but there would be no grass on the ground, no flowering shrubs, no birds perched in the trees, no anthills. The animals prowling through the moist air would look Earth-like, but only just. The night sky would be completely unfamiliar. The moon, much closer to the Earth, would appear larger than it does today and move more rapidly across the sky. None of the constellations would be recognizable. With time, you might start to draw new patterns to connect to your new alien world. Perhaps the constellation Phytosaurus, a giant crocodile-like creature, would stretch halfway across the summer sky. A red giant star, more common than in our sky, serving as its menacing eye. No human hunter on a clear winter night, but perhaps the claws and legs of Postosuchus, the top land-based predator of the time. There must be cross-shaped patterns in this ancient night, but surely no eagles or swans. There, rising at dusk on the vernal equinox, is Pterosaurus, wings stretching across the heavens. Once every month or two, Gemma interrupts my nighttime reveries by freezing and staring intently into the darkness, hackles rising on her spine. What's out there? A mountain lion? There is a vanishingly small but non-zero probability of encountering a mountain lion in Flagstaff, especially at night. A rabid fox? A higher probability, but rabid animals are not typically stealthy. This last time we stood still for about 2 minutes until I could make out the subtle movement of a large ear in the shadows. A mule deer. A doe, followed by another doe and then a fawn. We may profess a love of the night sky, but humans are diurnal animals, and we are all descended, at varying remove, from hunter-gatherers. Hunter-gatherers who must have squinted into the dark woods, fraught with trepidation. How good, then, to have the once she-wolf tight by your side, bristling into the darkness. Dogs, our great allies from the ancient past, are much more than timekeepers. Each night, at the end of our walk, we return to the made world, the world of central heating, indoor plumbing, and the marvels of electricity. These are wonderful things to us diurnal creatures, though much less essential to dogs. Closing the door, I reflect that there is a small but non-zero chance that in the future these things may fall away, and then we, or our descendants, might once again be subject to the caprices of the gods and monsters in the dark night sky.